Tuesday now, April 29th, and I still have to dress like this. I've had some days over the last few weeks where it's been warm and sunny, no jacket, but the last couple days now it's been like this, and it's cold and rainy. So this is outside of my apartment building. It's been raining the last few days. At least it's more green, but I'm not happy. But I thought I would talk a little bit about how foreigners are kind of seen here in the city. And for the most part, I think we are treated pretty well. Not like royalty, kind of like in Korea. Not like monkeys at the zoo like we were in Korea. But kind of like a subtlety. They notice us, but they're not just like, oh my god, look at the foreigner. In Korea, I mean, I stood out so much. Like, just, they obviously knew I was not Korean. And I felt like they kind of prepared themselves to communicate with me because they knew, all right, look at her. She's not from here. We're gonna have to communicate. Let's get ready. But here I found it's been more difficult because I don't look so much like a foreigner. Maybe I do now with my hood and everything. But I don't look so much like a foreigner, so they assume that I speak the language and that I know where I'm going and that everything is okay. But that's not always the case. So when someone asks me something in Russian or they ask me for directions and I am kind of like da, 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 in my response, I feel like then they look at me like, who is this person? What's wrong with her? Yeah. And when I say I'm from America, that's pretty positive. They're like, oh, cool, like which state? I answer differently all the time. Sometimes I say New York, sometimes New Jersey, sometimes Maryland. No one really knows Maryland. They usually know New Jersey and New York.
All right, let's wrap this up. So as a whole, I think the people here in Almaty are not so surprised by foreigners. Like, Westerners have been in this country for decades, so they just kind of assume if you do not look Central Asian, then perhaps you have just, been here because of the Soviet times and you've been here for a while, so it's like you're not a foreigner. But really, there are foreigners here. We do exist. Hey, here I am. It has been a pretty pleasant experience. I like that, it's okay for me to say I'm American. But I do feel a bit uncomfortable not knowing the language because it is more difficult to get around here than it was, let's say, when I was in Spain or in Korea. There's a lot less English here, and I find a lot less people know English. But I am a bit flattered that people come up to me and ask me questions in Russian and ask me for directions because maybe that means I look like I know what I'm doing or I look like I fit in. Something else that just happened on Sunday, I'm not sure how to feel about it. I was walking Sunday evening almost, taking out the trash on my way to meet Dowlette at the shopping center across the street. And I walked through this alleyway and there were some kids playing at the playground, some older teenagers. I just walked by and as I passed the corner, I already threw out the trash. I hear this noise and I turned around and I saw this kid on his bike, the same kid that was over by the dumpster. And this kid, he was a kid, rolled up next to me on his bike and asked me in Russian, like, can we be acquainted? Can we meet? And I was so taken off guard at first. I just said, Извините, like, sorry. And then he's like, Почему? Why? And I said, I have a boyfriend. And I said it in Russian, and he didn't understand me at first. I don't know. So I said, like, У меня есть парень, like, I have a boyfriend. And then he understood. So he said, oh, okay. And then he rolled away. And I was like, yeah, I don't know how to feel about that. Do I look 16? I didn't think I did. Okay, that's all. I've got to get going, but have a good day. Bye.